Grazie tante, grazie ad European House, Ambrosetti, caro Valerio, per l'invito di stare qui in questo convegno Verso Sud e partecipare in questo panel che è molto interessante. Devo segnalare con il mio collega Francesco Lollobrigida abbiamo un rapporto molto stretto di collaborazione e di cooperazione fra il nostro Paese e noi come ministri. Il mio italiano è affettivo, non è preciso, è molto impreciso. Allora devo cambiare non sullo spagnolo, che è la mia lingua favorita, ma sull'inglese. Mi permettesse questo. If we have to find what are the three key words that are probably floating on this conference, talking about the Mediterranean and talking about cooperation, I think the three concepts are stability, progress, and peace. We all share in this room these three basic concepts. But I think that the great question for us in this panel is how food security can contribute to stability, progress, and peace in the Mediterranean. But let's be very clear. Food is an instrument for peace and stability. President from Call Directive was just mentioning one moment ago. But it's also true that food is a weapon of war. We have seen that in the Black Sea. We have seen in the export of cereals. We are seeing that in Gaza, unfortunately. And it's very clear that in this context we have to address the main challenges that we have on food security in front of us. And there are two very complex and wide ones. The one related to geopolitical events and trade, and the ones related in this area in the Mediterranean about climate change. Let's begin with the geopolitical context and the trade conflicts. It's very clear that the decision from the new US administration are not only a global problem, we have also a regional problem in the Mediterranean related to that. So is why I think that we, as European Union, Italy and Spain, we are trying that we achieve a balanced result of this negotiation and to avoid and to preserve all the multilateral fora that multilateral trade has produced in the last decades, that it has increased wealth in the world and has decreased hunger and malnutrition. And I think to develop this spirit of agreement, but at the same time of defense of the European interests is key. But not only that we are capable in this moment to enlarge the regional trade cooperation with other parts of the world. I am thinking about Mercosur. The agreement is nearly closed. It's now to be ratified by Parliament and Council. And I think that we have great opportunity there for the interests of our countries, but the countries of the whole world about that. And Vice President Fito was mentioning before India. There's another way and another scenario where we can develop all the work that we are doing. And trade and food trade is not only about benefits, but is also about benefits and the interests of the countries, the net exporter countries, are the European countries, Italy or Spain, but also the recipients in this world. So to put a certain, can I say, order in what is happening in the last weeks, in the last month, will be good for everyone, and I think will be good for the world order. And about climate change, and I think that this is something that we have to take very seriously. In a double sense, we have to fight to climate change, we have to address climate change to keep to the Paris Agreement, the Paris Agreement content, but at the same time to adapt in food production what is related to that. Let me mention one example that, and one anecdote that is not very well known, the Rio Conference in 1992. It is supposed to be, can we say, the birth of the concept of climate change. But the conference was not about climate change. It was about wheat production and how the increased temperatures in the world were related to that. Well, there is an optimist conclusion to that. We have tripled the production of wheat from 1992 to now. So there are solutions, but we have to address, frankly, all what is related to that. And I think that is in this sense, and farmers are very practical people, we are practical people, that we address on a positive way all the things that we have in front of us. We have to adapt to this climate change. And to adapt means, I think, three things. The first one is the use of water. Let's be clear, and also Vice President Fito, the Commission, is engaged on that. This is something that, clearly as a public good, we have to be very clear about the use and the use for the primary sector. That is key. Key in the sense of the use of the irrigation and the modern irrigation to produce food. Let me put a Spanish example. We have 22% of the arable land in modern irrigation with precision agriculture. But this 22% produces 71% of the agriculture output of our country. And I think that is valid surely for Italy and for other Mediterranean countries. We have invested 2.5 million euros from 23 to 27 just about precision agriculture and modernizing our irrigation systems. The second one is about farmers' insurance, something that probably is very technical for many people, but not technical for farmers. It's something that related with all the climate events that we are seeing these weeks, these days in Spain, here in Italy, we need to address. And farmer insurance is a key thing that we have to develop towards the future. Even there is discussion in the new multi-annual financial framework of the EU to create an European network of reinsurance of this national system that will be, I think, a great step forward for the future. And the third one is about innovation. And I put you an example, the new genomic techniques to have plants and seeds that are more resilient in water scarcity, in drought, or addressing the new pests that we have in front of us. We are finalizing, I hope, the European regulation before the end of the year. But these genomic techniques, and I take the point to enlarge, can we say, the argument, all the innovation that we can introduce in the primary sector is key to address these climate change, can we say, challenges that we have in front of us. And probably the President of the Call Directive will enjoy what I will say just now about sustainability, because it's one I have not copyright about, but I have mentioned. I have to say that I receive more clappings when doing in English than in Spanish. But I always say there is no sustainability if there are not profitability of our farms. We agree on that. I'm sure about that. But this is a key point that we have not to forbid, that we have not to forget that we have, in one side, we have a market revenue, we have the CAP, and it's very important. We have to discuss in the context of the new financing. There are no sources of revenue, but it's key that our farmers have a decent revenue for the future of the sustainability in the Mediterranean area. And let me also put a particular example about what we have done in Spain about our national food strategy. The National Food Strategy has been a document that I presented to the Spanish Council of Ministers. There has been the Spanish contribution of the vision of the future of agriculture and food of the European Commission. We presented on the beginning of this commission. It's a more than 300 pages document, and it addresses all the key challenges that we have and the scenarios in front of us related with the question that we have mentioned, not only about quantity of the food, but also the quality of the food, the links to health, the generational renewal in our primary sector, and many others. But I mention that because I think it is key that we have a sense of the direction we are going to. And I'm sure that with the European vision, with the position of countries like Italy and Spain and others trying to cooperate in this vision for the future, we can do a lot, not only for the strategic autonomy of the European Union. We talk about defense and security, we talk about energy, but we have to talk about food. That is a basic element for the future. And I think that we have, and we can have many things in this sense. And let me conclude with two remarks about concrete proposals about what we can do in the large Mediterranean area addressing the challenges of the food security. One, to improve balanced trade between and fair trade between our countries. I always defend the agreements and I support the agreements of the European Union with the northern Mediterranean countries and Africa. I think that they are elements of not only of development and creation of wealth, but of having, can we say, a stronger links and as the President of Gold Directive was just mentioning, the fact that the development of these countries to have the food for the people is absolutely key. And the second one is about the technical cooperation. We can do a lot. We will have a meeting of European ministers with African ministers in Rome, late June, in the context of FAO. I have attended, probably is biannual, the last three. It will be my fourth meeting. And it's a very interesting exchange of how we can develop all this technical cooperation with our countries that, in fact, is something that you are addressing also with the Mattei, if I understand well, plan and with the direction that you are taking in Italy. And a very, very last message. There has been a lot of talk about USAID and the cut of the USAID related to the challenges that we have now, for example, in Africa. On behalf of the Spanish government, I have to say that we are defending that the European Union has to fill the hole that the cuts of USAID are producing, particularly in the case of Africa. And I will refer specifically to the questions related to food security. It is key that if we didn't create the insecurity I was mentioning in the beginning of my intervention, we have to be capable to deal with this full security and to reduce what has been can we say, in moderate progress but positive progress till COVID, but has in fact not moved positively after COVID, what is in fact the 2.4 billion persons that we have in the world that are suffering hunger and malnutrition. If in our neighborhood, in this enlarged Mediterranean area, we have to tackle the specific and dramatic problems that we have, I think the European Union we have to do our utmost to fill this hole and to try to balance what the USAID cuts will produce in the neighborhood and in our area. Thank you very much again for your invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.